I'm going to switch gears, though, and remind you that in order to do the kinds of things that were just discussed, you have to go through something called an alternative analysis that is sanctioned by the Federal Transit Administration. You can't just say, I want to do that. You have to prove that it's the right thing to do, and you do that by doing a study that's called an alternative analysis and environmental clearance. And that studies every corridor alternative and every modal alternative in the corridor, including land use and the last mile issue, before the Federal Transit Administration will share the cost with you, and we must have that federal support to build. So what I'm going to be talking about is how we get through a federal environmental review and alternative analysis, and the kind of things we'll be looking at. Now, I know many of you are pretty sophisticated. Some of you are not, though, when it comes to what we mean by commuter rail, metro rail, light rail, automated guideway transit, and so on. So we're going to know at the end of this presentation what those mean. So that's what we're going to go through today. And we're going to go through fast to try to catch up a little here. Let's see what I do. What do I do here? That first little scroll there. Which do I push? Here?
Yeah.
Okay. This tells you what I just told you about the studies. Now, the reason why we need to do one of those legally in our county, especially the west side, is because the last time we did one was almost 2 decades ago. And that's obsolete. Obviously, terribly obsolete. Made so by Apple and others because you're so wonderfully successful. It's caused different traffic patterns than we had 2-3 decades ago. 2-3 decades ago, we were supposed to be using the Highway 85 or Permanente corridor for a light rail line, Stevens Creek for light rail. We didn't know what busways were at that time. Might have been busways if we'd known. But we need to know now. We need to know what that means. So let's have a look now at the corridors. Now you're familiar with what you're looking at there because you're sitting in the middle of it. Google Maps says that that black line is the rail line that is the Permanente line that currently exists, comes from it comes from downtown San Jose out to North Los Gatos, and from North Los Gatos, then along the Highway 85 corridor, not in the corridor, separate 200-foot wide right-of-way, out through Saratoga, and then through Cupertino, and then only after it gets to Cupertino does it diverge up into the hill, up to the cement plant. So there's a corridor. Should it be used? Well, UP wants it for 50-foot for their cement trains. What's going to happen with the other 150 feet? We at one time owned an option on that corridor. We don't anymore. If we want to use it, we'll have to buy it, but it's much, much, much less expensive than using other lands and more available in terms of access. Then you see Highway 85. It's pretty clear going from the intersection at Highway 17 all the way out through the West Valley, through Cupertino, and following along 85 into Mountain View area. That's an ideal corridor. Is it wide enough? Does it have the accesses you want? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I tell you, I know a lot about these studies. I've chaired 9 of them, and I can tell you I don't know about that corridor. So don't shake your head, because you don't know legally until you've done the study. And that's what FTA is going to tell you. You don't legally know until you've done the corridor study and studied every alternative. Now, let's look at alternatives. This is just a fun one to look at. 30 different countries in the world have high-speed rail systems or are building them right now. The oldest is Japan with their Shinkansen. It now carries 1 billion people. It's carried over 4 billion people in the 50 years it's been in operation. Not one fatality in all that time. And they are at 4.5-minute headways now. And their average late time last year was 9 seconds on their whole system. If Japan can do it, we can do it. China has only been in the high-speed rail system business for 20 years. They have 8,000 kilometers of 230 mile per hour high-speed trains operating throughout China. And they have another 1,000 kilometers under construction. They were an emerging country 20 years ago. How can they afford it and us not afford it? We're the richest country in the world, we tell everybody. How can they afford it and we not? Do they have more concern about climate change? Do they have more concern about their economic vitality than we do? Apparently. You go on through Korea, China, France, Germany, Italy, England. Morocco has just built a high-speed train. Morocco is a third world country. What the heck's going on here? We don't have one in North America. Well, we have one under construction now in Fresno, finally, after studying it for 50 years. We're going to have a station in San Jose in about 14 years. So be ready. It's going to happen now. Now, commuter rail. What is commuter rail? That's the next step down from intercity rail. That's the Capital Train. That's Caltrain, the Altamont Express, the Metrolink down in LA, Metro North in Washington or New York, and so on and so on. The Virginia Express going down into Virginia. It's a diesel, typically diesel or electric push-pull train that stops fairly frequently and carries big, big loads. Ours is Caltrain, and it's being electrified in the next couple of years, and it's going to be an outstanding system. We can build on that. Metro. What's a metro rail system? Well, it's BART, or Washington Metro, or LA Metro. It's an automated, in fact, they are completely automated, although they have drivers acting like they're driving it because they need to be there in case of emergencies. But in day-to-day service, the trains are run by a computer. And they're very much faster accelerating and decelerating than the diesels. They're cleaner, and they can stay on time more easily. BART's our example. Light rail. We know what light rail is. We have one right here. It's one of the best ones, by the way, in terms of technology, but not in terms of planning here in Santa Clara County. San Francisco has a fine Muni Metro system. Sacramento, Portland, Calgary, Edmonton, Phoenix, Denver, San Diego, LA. There, I'll show you a list in a minute, and you'll be able to see that there are literally 100 light rail systems that are expanding in the United States. And around the world, there are thousands of light rail systems because it is the least expensive to operate in terms of life cycle costing of any medium capacity rapid transit system. The technology there is called medium capacity rapid transit. That's what the Federal Transit Administration will understand. The other mode is a busway. That's a medium capacity rapid transit system. The problem with a busway is that you have to replace the buses or completely rebuild them every 10 years. Light rail system will last 50 years before you have to rebuild or replace them. They'll last 100 years with maintenance. So when you life cycle the costs, light rail is much less expensive, and of course the fuel is much less expensive, and it's less polluting. But I don't know which is best. That's why FDA is going to tell you you have to do the study. Now here's something that's a bit new. It's really old, but it's a new system being built now around the world, and it's to take care of that last mile when you can't get to the plant. Apple, let's say we could get a light rail line to De Anza College. Can't get it quite to the Apple plant. A pod car system or an ATN, automated transit network system, is very inexpensive to build. You build them on little stanchions and they operate very similarly to a ski lift, only they're more substantial and they're computer controlled. Inside the cab, there's the buttons you push and it tells you where you're going to go. It already knows where you are. And it'll take you to your stop without stopping if it can. If somebody else gets in and has to stop, then it'll stop for the other person. There's 2 or 3 of these in full operation. It was invented by Uppsala University in Sweden, and there's one at Heathrow Airport, one in Dubai, and others around the world. And they're slick. They're very nice. They're no operators. They're run on electricity, and they're inexpensive to build. But they're not good for the housing end because we're too spread out. They're good for the jobs end, where you can get into a cluster of industry and have your pod car taking you around that cluster on a route that might stop by an airport or might stop by another major trip center, maybe a university on the way. Express bus. Now this is what we've typically been talking about in terms of your bus rapid transit system. One more. There you go. Okay, thank you. Well, it was right, but it was wrong, but it's righter now. You got to watch out for college professors. I work with them all the time because after politics, I started running this research institute. Let me tell you, they give you gray hair. Okay, so busways. Those are busway systems in operation right now, bus rapid transit in the United States. It's a viable mode. It's especially good in areas where you have a little lane flexibility on your freeways and where you don't have the densities or the connectivity to support light rail. Light rail, we have a lot of those around the United States in operation. Maybe that'll work better. Those are some of those in the United States that are in operation now. And that's a list. Now, I intentionally typed that up so it's impossible for you to read. Actually, this is the Federal Transit Administration's list. I'm going to leave that here so you can have it, and the mayor will make copies for you and carry it to your home by himself, by his hand.
On the light rail system?
On the light rail. But the city will make copies available of all of my stuff for you if you'd like it. And you can look down there at the code and it will tell you which systems are in the process now of expanding, whether they're light rail, commuter rail, metro rail, whether they're busways, and the amount of cost that's pending for those systems. That'll bring you up to date on what the demand is nationally. I think rather than take more time, I'm going to let you know that I'm anxious to answer your questions. I've taken about 11 seconds now, and I don't want to take any more time from anybody else. So let me stop with that map before you, showing you where all the light rail projects are around the United States, so you realize that it's a viable modality, as is the busway, and you have to now do the study to convince the Federal Transit Administration that you're doing the right thing for the long-term future, and in that, you'll need to take into consideration the new modes that are coming out of Silicon Valley, electric cars, Uber, and your automated transit, automobiles that are coming up pretty quickly now. So thank you for having me here. I'll look forward to your questions.